material, like mainly cast iron. In the cast iron, we are having different types of cast iron, like malleable cast iron, gray cast iron, spheroidal graphite cast iron. We studied the composition, properties, and application. That is ferrous material. And one more material we studied in ferrous category, that is steels, tool steels, and your one more high speed steels. Okay, HSS steels and tool steels. We studied the composition, properties, and application. And in non-ferrous material, so non-ferrous material are those which do not contain any iron in them. Mainly, we studied copper and its alloys, like brass and bronze. Next, we studied aluminum material. Okay. Mainly used in aircraft application. Then we discussed about thermosetting plastic, thermoplastics, and also we discussed most important thing, that is called as composite material. Yesterday I discussed composite material. So a material which is having a combination of two or more metals, and they are having different physical and chemical properties, and they remain distinct even in the physical and chemical structure through macroscopic or microscopic view. That is called as this one compound material or your composite material. Okay, so in composite material we discussed about various category like metal matrix composites, ceramic matrix composites, and polymer matrix composites based upon the matrix element present in the composite material. On the other hand, we are having one more material called as reinforcement. For example, your concrete. It consisting of two material. One is your cement and another one is your sand particles. Cement is your matrix component and sand particle is your the reinforcement. So instead of using cement, which is very weak in compression, we are going to add sand particles to cement, thereby increasing the hardness. Like that, we studied so many composite materials in the previous class. It is, you remember, composite plays very important role in day-to-day life. Another example is your plywood. Okay, it is a combination of different woods pressed and glued together to form a single compound, that is called as plywood. And even your cycle wheel with rubber tube, that is also nothing but your compound or composite material. Your steel rim wheel, steel wheel is a matrix element, whereas rubber steel together with the rubber reduces the friction when you move from one place to another place. Okay, like that we are having so many composite materials in day-to-day world. Okay, so instead of using one material, we are going for combination of more than one material, mainly to increase the or to change in the properties of a material. Okay, today we'll discuss some more material like cermets. Next, we are having smart materials. Then we are having a piezoelectrical materials. Like that, we are discussing with some different types of material in this class. Okay. Are you able to see the contents on the screen, guys? Are you seeing contents on the screen? Okay. I'll start with first material called as ceramics material. Okay, ceramics materials are inorganic compounds, solid materials. Okay, you remember they are inorganic solid materials, mainly consisting of metals and non-metallic elements. That is a composition of two elements. One is metallic components and another one is non-metallic components like oxides, nitrides, and carbides. Okay, so when metal contains non-metallic components like oxides, nitrides, and carbides, we are calling it as ceramic material. For example, your aluminum oxide when the oxide mixed with aluminum, it is nothing but aluminum oxide. Then we are having zirconium oxide, oxide present in the zirconium metal. Tungsten carbide, the carbide present in the tungsten. Boron carbide, carbide present in the boron. Silicon carbide means when a metal consisting of non-metallic elements, it may be carbide, it may be oxide, or it may be nitride. We are calling it as engineering ceramic material. Okay. And how about the structure? All the ceramic materials may have the crystalline structure where the atoms are bonded in a regular pattern or in amorphous form, where atoms are having the regular or irregular arrangements. You remember? So the mainly they consisting of two metals. One is metals and another one is non-material element. They are crystalline in structure where the atoms are bounded in a amorphous pattern or in a regular pattern. That is the structure of engineering ceramics. Okay. Next, so when you add the non-metallic elements to the metallic element, how we'll get the properties of such a material? Okay. Already you studied compressive strength and tensile strength in your physics, I hope. Okay. The ceramics are possessing the high compressive strength, okay, and that make them suitable for the use in building and structural application. You remember ceramics are having the very good compressive strength. Because of the good compressive strength, we can use ceramic materials in the manufacture of bricks, pipes, roofs, and floor tiles, etc. Okay, because of addition of oxides, carbides, or nitrides in the material, they possesses the high compressive strength. Okay, when you add non-metallic element, okay, so once again the hardness of the material will be increased. Hence, these, you remember, ceramic materials are mainly used in cutting applications. One more tool steel you studied, the tool steel is used for cutting material. So apart from this one, in most of the cases, the ceramic tools are used because of their high hardness. In all the cutting tools, okay, we are having lathe machine and milling machine in next model. I'll explain where cutting tool plays very important part. Okay, cutting tool always made up of this ceramic material because of their excess hardness in nature. Okay, and another property of ceramic material is that they possess excellent wear resistance properties. Okay, where the wear resistance plays very important role. In such cases, we prefer ceramic materials. Okay, where the wear resistance plays important role, like in case of brakes of your vehicles, clutch of vehicles, bearings of the vehicles, where the wear resistance and hardness plays very important role. Okay, hence the ceramic materials are preferred in the manufacturing of brakes of vehicles, clutches, and bearings. Okay, first one is high compressive strength. Second one is high hardness. Third one, excellent wear resisting properties. And fourth one is high corrosion resistance. Okay, so these ceramic material possesses excellent corrosion properties. Okay, and also they are having the resistive to the action of moisture content. So as you resist the moisture content, obviously there will be no corrosion at all. Okay, and the fifth point is high melting point. So when you add the oxides or nitrides to the metals, they possess higher melting point compared to individual element. Okay, hence they are used for making automobile parts, aerospace parts, heat sinks, and other manufacturing applications like cutting tools. As I said, these ceramic materials are mainly used in the manufacture of cutting tools, then molten parts, and then furnace linings, etc., where the melting points is very high. Okay, those materials, they can withstand high melting points. In such applications, the ceramic materials are used. Okay, and compared to this one, copper and aluminum, etc., these ceramics possesses low electrical and thermal conductivity. Okay, that makes them suitable for electrical and electronic applications because of the low thermal conductivity. We cannot go for higher thermal conductivity in case of electrical and electronics applications. Only in case of mechanical application, we prefer the higher thermal conductivity applications. Whenever the electrical and electronics applications are required, always will prefer the low electrical and thermal conductivity. Hence, the ceramic materials are mainly used for the manufacturing of electrical and electronic applications. This is the sixth advantage. Okay, and then another advantage of ceramics is that they are mainly preferred in biomedical applications, especially in dental implants. Okay, where because of this high properties like high hardness, next low thermal conductivity and high melting point, because of these properties, this ceramics are mainly preferred in dental implants, mainly in biomedical applications. Even they are used for some orthopedic process also. Okay, so these are the seven important properties of your ceramics. You remember, ceramics is a combination of metal and non-metal. Metal may be anything. It may be aluminum, or it may be silicon, or it may be boron, or it may be tungsten, or it may be zirconium, the major element. Next, non-metallic elements like oxides, nitrogen oxide, boron oxide, or carbides, etc. So this gives your ceramic material. And remember, the ceramic materials possess excellent hardness properties, the higher compressive strength, then higher corrosion resistance, high melting point, low electrical conductivity, low thermal conductivity, and good hardness, and also the excellent wear resistance properties. Because of this one, they plays a very important role in automobile sector, in aerospace structure, in biomedical engineering, because of their excellent properties. Okay, it's all about your ceramic materials. Next, I'll explain the another material called as glasses. Okay, already you have seen the glasses. Glasses are amorphous or non-crystalline ceramic materials. You remember, this is also kind of ceramic material, but the structure of atoms are in non-crystalline type, or they may be amorphous also. Okay, and usually the silicate containing other oxides, like we are having a CaO, calcium oxide, NaO2, K2, potassium oxide, and aluminum oxide, like that. So these are the additional materials are used in the manufacture of glasses. Okay, so nitrogen oxides, calcium oxide, potassium oxide, aluminum oxide, etc., are used in the manufacture of glasses. Then in order to get refractive properties, remember, refractive index is the one important property of glass, and also the electrical conductivity. Okay, as you add these materials, you will get the refractive index of the material, and also the electrical conductivity. Then what are the applications of your glasses? Glasses also plays a very important role in day-to-day life. So mainly we find the application in windows, then doors, usually laboratory equipment, especially in chemistry labs. I think you might have seen that beakers and those things. So those are all made up of glasses. Then bulbs, X-ray tubes, next windscreen, backlights, fiberglass insulation, and similar such components for automotive and aerospace application. The glasses plays very important role. Okay, mainly used for this doors, windows, laboratory equipments. Okay, bulbs, X-ray tubes, where the glasses are used. Okay, so this is also a kind of ceramic material. Okay. Next main thing is we are having optical fiber glass. I think you might have heard this optical fiber glass. Okay, how we'll get the optical fiber glass? Okay, we are having a process called as drawing process. Drawing is a process, so from where we can draw the material into thin wires, that is called as drawing process. Okay, or it is also known as forming process. Okay, optical fiber glass is a material which is obtained by drawing process or forming process from silica glass or plastics. Okay, so already studied the plastic material and to a diameter which is slightly thicker than that of human hair. You remember, so the optical fiberglass are obtained by means of the wiring or drawing process through a material called as silica glass, or it may be a plastic material. Okay, and these optic fibers are mainly used to transmit the light between the ends of the fiber, and they are mainly used in optic fiber communications. Okay, where they permit the data from one distance to another distance at higher data rates or at higher bandwidth. Because of this one, they plays very important role in data communication. Okay, especially in telecommunication, your field, automobiles, aviation, medical, and other industries, optical fiberglass plays very important role. And optical fiber transmission usually consisting of the three basic elements. Okay, one is transmitter, and another one is optical fibers, and third one is photodiodes. Okay. Okay, so optical fiber transmission system mainly consisting of three basic elements. You remember, one is transmitter, optical fiber, and photodiodes. Transmitter is a process which converts electrical energy into light energy. Okay, and second one is optical fibers through which the light is transmitted, and third one is photodiode, which converts the reverse of transmitter, means where conversion of light energy into electrical energy takes place. So these are the optical fiber communication system. There are three parts: transmitter, optical fibers, and photodiodes. In transmitter, it is a part which converts electrical energy into light energy or optical energy. Optical fiber is one which transmits the light from one point to another point. And third point is your photodiodes. It the function of photodiode is reverse of transmitter. In transmitter, there is a conversion of electrical energy into light energy, and in photodiode there will be a conversion of light energy into your electrical energy. These are the three parts of the optical fiber communication system. Sometimes they will ask, explain the cross section of your optical fiber glass. Okay, so this is a simple diagram. So we are having three parts. Okay, so one is the core part, or it is a optical fiber part, which is mainly consisting of a silica glass. You remember, as I said, the optical fiber glass are mainly manufactured from silica glass through a process called as a drawing process. Okay, the central element is called as the core element, or it is the optical fiber, which is made up of silicon glass, and this is surrounded by another similar material called as cladding material. Okay, but it is having the low refractive index as compared to your core element. Okay, and the this cladding and core element enclosed in a plastic jacket or it is a coating. Very simple structure. One is core element of silica glass, and which is bounded by another similar material called as cladding material. But the refractive index of cladding material is less than that of your core material. Okay, then which is enclosed in a plastic coating or in a plastic sealing. Okay, and instead of silica glass, we can use the other glass material also in the optical fiber, and it may be fluoroaluminate, and it may be fluorozirconate, etc. And other crystalline material like sapphire are also used in the optical fiber. You remember, mainly the silica glass is used as a core element bounded by cladding element, then which are enclosed in a material called as jacket. So this is the cross section of your optical fiber. Okay, this is all about glass material. Next important thing, we are having cermets. Okay, then we studied ceramic materials. Okay, next cermets. Cermets means it is a combination of two materials. Cerm means ceramics, ets and metallic components. Cermets, it is a combination of ceramics and materials, is known as cermets. So it is a composition of ceramic material with metal form. Okay, that is called as cermets. Okay, and the example of ceramic material are it may be carbide, boride, or your oxides. Okay, and material is usually cobalt. You remember, you studied oxide, carbide, and boride just now at the metallic oxides, and the material used in the cermet is always cobalt. When cobalt mixed with oxide, carbide, or boride, will get cermet. Mixture of metal is usually cobalt, and the ceramics is usually in the form of oxide, carbide, or boride. So this is a cermet. Okay, the most widely used cermet are tungsten carbide. Okay, tungsten is your metal and carbide is your ceramic material. When carbide mixed with the tungsten, we are getting the material called as tungsten carbide. Tungsten carbide composition is 6% of cobalt. Okay, and remaining is your carbide material. When you add the carbide to the tungsten, the material becomes so hard. Okay, the hardness is very high as compared to other metals like individual metals. So because of this excellent hardness, and they possess the extra wear resistance, chemical resistance, and also the temperature resistance. Okay, but on the other hand, we are having a property called as ductility or ductile material. Ductile material means they undergo the plastic deformation, uh, is called as ductility. Ductile material, brittle material, I think you might be knowing all these things. Ductility is the one where there will be plastic deformation takes place. Okay, and also because of this extra hardness, it is having the excellent toughness and also the shock resistance properties. Okay, so apart from tungsten carbide, we can use titanium carbide also. When that carbide mixed with the titanium, will get the titanium carbide. You remember it as cermet, not ceramic, neither ceramic nor metal. When metal mixed with the ceramic material, we are calling it as cermets. Okay, mainly cobalt or nickel used as a metal, and oxides used as a ceramic material. Okay, then regarding the applications. Okay, first you remember the composition. Okay, composition is 6% of your cobalt, and remaining is your ceramic material. And properties: excellent hardness, excellent toughness, then we are having ductility in nature, and then we are having the high shock resistant, Next, high vibration resistant, and then the high chemical resistance, high temperature resistance. These are all properties of the cermets. Okay. Next, where your cermets are used. Okay. Mainly they are used in the cutting tools. You remember where the extra hardness is required. We are having two materials. One is base metal and one is cutting tool. Okay. You remember the cutting tool should be harder than your the base metal. Okay, suppose I have one material, I want to cut that material that is called as the base metal and cutting tool. Okay, we need two things, and you remember the hardness of cutting tool should be more than that of your base metal, then only it is possible to cut the material, otherwise it is not possible. Hence, wherever high hardness is required, especially in case of cutting tools, this cermets plays very important role. Okay, and also the components of aeroplane engines, jet engines, spacecraft rockets, manufacture of resistors, especially potentiometers, capacitors, where the hardness plays very important role. In such cases, cermets are used. Okay, because they experiences the high hardness and high temperature resistance during the operation. Hence, they mainly preferred in potentiometer, capacitors, aeroplane engines, jet engines, and then mainly in the manufacturing of cutting tools where the extra hardness is required. Your cermets are also used as a insulators. Okay, insulators we discussed in the previous class, means they are having the low thermal conductivity as compared to your conductors like copper, brass, or bronze. Even cermets are also sometimes used as an insulator. Then what about the insulator? The examples of insulators are your plastic, wood, rubber, etc. Even in some cases, cermets are also used as your insulating material. Okay. Okay, so hope you understood this cermets, glass, and one more cermets over the glass material over optical fiberglass over and engineering ceramics over. Okay, next I'll discuss some smart materials. Okay, the nowadays smart materials plays very important role in all aspects of our life. Okay, next is smart materials. Okay, smart materials. Okay, smart materials are those we can add some, we can change their properties. Okay, in a controlled manner by means of some external things. So that some cases I can improve the stress, we can add the temperature, we can remove the temperature, we can add the moisture to the component, we can remove the moisture from the component, we can change the pH value, or we can change the electrical field, or we can change the magnetic field. So by changing such property, we can change any properties. Okay, with some external factors we can change. Okay, so such materials are called as smart materials. Okay, so we can change any properties. For example, you take a plastic material. What is plastic material? Which is acts as a insulator, and it is in normal condition, there is no conduction of heat at all in your plastic. Then how I want to make that plastic as a conducting material? So in such cases, so upon removal we have to remove the force. Okay, we have to add some external force, so till it becomes conductor. Then after the purpose is over, we can remove the force from that plastic, then it retains to its original shape. Like that we can change the properties by adding or removing some external factors. Means it may be in the form of stress, or it may be in the form of temperature, or it may be form of moisture. Whatever the parameters you add or remove from a particular material, then there will be a change in the properties of the original material. That is called as the smart material. Okay, then another example, So I think you might have seen the photosensitive glass, okay, which darkens when you expose to the sunlight and returns back to its initial state when it is protected from sunlight. So there will be change in properties according to the applications, okay. So that these glasses, okay, they are sensitive to the light, okay. When you opens, when you expose to sunlight, they becomes darkens. So when sunlight is not there, then automatically retain to their original structure. According to the things, they changes their properties. Such materials are called as the smart materials, okay. uh, you remember, so the extra factors which are adding to change the properties are your temperature, stress, or moisture, etc. Okay, smart materials, they can change the properties by external factors, okay. Next we are having the example of smart materials as piezoelectric materials, okay. There are two types. One is piezoelectric materials and another one is the shape memory alloys. So every time they used to ask this question, explain about piezoelectric materials, okay. Remember, the piezoelectric materials are the materials which produces the electrical current when they are subjected to mechanical stress, okay. So they produces when you supply some mechanical stress to a particular material, then they produces the electric current. Such materials are called as piezoelectric material, okay. So another function of piezoelectrical materials as that, so when it is deformed by applying the stress, then we'll get some electrical discharge. As I said, when you apply the mechanical stress, there will be a formation of electrical current in the material, okay. And when the electrical current is passed through piezoelectric material, then it experiences a significant deformation, okay. So that when you apply mechanical stress, the electrical current is produced, and then when the electrical current is passed through this material, then there will be deformation of the material takes place, okay. Because of these properties, they are mainly used in the used as a sensors, okay. So piezoelectrical materials are mainly used as a sensors in the electronic and electrical components, okay. They plays a very important role, okay. As you seen in the table, they plays very important role in all aspects like automotive. I think you might have seen airbag in the cars. It is used as a airbag sensor, airflow sensor, audible alarms, fuel atomizer in case of engines, keyless door entry, okay. Nowadays keyless door entries there, okay, where the sensor plays very important role. The sensors are made up of this piezoelectric materials, okay. Seat belt buzzers, then computers. In computers used as a actuators, and in case of dot matrix inkjet printing heads, where sensor plays very important role. Wherever sensor plays very important role, we prefer the piezoelectric materials. In case of consumer also, for depth finders, fish finders, okay, where the fish is there, so by using the sensors we can realize where the fish exists and how to take that fish, okay. In humidifiers, jewelry cleaners, musical instruments, speakers, speakers used in the cell phones where sensor is required, that is nothing but your piezoelectric material. Even in medical application also, then ultrasonic imaging, ultrasonic cataract removal devices, like everywhere this nowadays sensor plays very important role, okay. Whatever field you take, whether it may be medical or it may be consumer or computer, automotive, even in military application also, this piezoelectric materials are plays very important role, like depth sounders, guidance systems, hydrophones, sonar properties. Even in manufacturing also, like ultrasonic cleaning, ultrasonic welding, where the welding we can do using the sensor only. That is nothing but using the piezoelectric materials, okay. So piezoelectric material is an example of yours smart material, you remember. Another one is called shape memory alloy. This is another important smart material is shape memory alloy. Okay, so the shape memory alloy possesses two properties. One is called as shape memory effect, and another one is called as pseudo elasticity or super elasticity. Okay, what do you mean by shape memory effect? Okay, when the material is in the cold condition, it can be bent or it can be stretched, and it can be hold that shape until we are going to heat above the transition temperature of the alloy. Okay, so whenever the material in cold condition, you can bend, you can stretch, you can do whatever you want, you can do anything with that metal. But when you heat above the transition temperature, then the metal changes to its original shape. Okay, that is the property. Okay, and when the metal cools, it will remain in its original shape. Okay, like that. So the metal gains its original shape, that is, it recalls its memory. That's why it is called as shape memory alloy. You remember, under cold condition, shape memory alloy can be bent, or it can be stretched, or it can be do whatever you want. But when you remove that deformation, means when you heat the above transition temperature, means at high temperature, then the metal changes its original shape. But we can't do anything. Okay, after once it is heated. Okay, we can do whatever we want whenever that alloy is in cold condition. Okay, that's why it is called as the shape alloy, shape memory alloy. And one more important property of shape memory alloy is that pseudo elasticity or super elasticity. Okay, you remember these two effects, shape memory effect and pseudo elasticity effect. Okay, so what happens in a pseudo elasticity process? Okay, so in this case, we are going to apply certain force to the alloy. Okay, then that force induces the considerable deformation in the alloy material. Okay, so whenever you apply a force to a particular alloy, then there will be deformation takes place. That is a characteristic feature of your shape memory alloy. But when you remove the force, then automatically the material regains its original state without need for heating. That is another characteristic feature. Okay, you remember, one is shape memory effect. Shape memory means when the material is in cold condition, we can do whatever we want. We can bend, we can stretch whatever we want until it is heated above its transition temperature. Once it is upon heating, the metal changes to its original shape. That is a shape memory effect. And another one is pseudo elasticity, means we are going to apply certain force to the alloy. Under the application of force, the metal undergoes deformation. But when that force is removed, then the material automatically regains its original shape. But in this case, no need for heating. Heating is not required. Just we are going to apply the force and we have to remove the force. When you apply the force, it becomes undergoes deformation. When you taken back that force, then the material retains its original structure. That is called as pseudo elasticity. Okay, remember, a piezoelectric material is different and shape memory alloys are different. Pseudo electric materials are mainly used in the following applications. Okay, just I'll then what are the examples of your shape memory alloys? So that this is a combination of different materials, like for example, copper, zinc and aluminum. This is the shape memory alloy. Okay, so suppose you take only the copper, then it is having its own limitations. When you add copper with zinc and aluminum, that becomes shape memory alloys because of shape memory effect and pseudo elasticity nature. On the other hand, we are having the other examples, copper, nickel and aluminum. This is also one combination. Okay, like that we are having a nickel titanium alloy referred as nithinol. as widely used for commercial applications. Like that, we can combine the different material in different proportion, we'll get the shape memory alloy. Okay, these are the most important things you remember. Under smart materials, we are having shape memory alloy, and one more is your pseudo this one photo piezo electric components. Okay, the next last one, the application of shape memory alloys. Okay, as I said, how the smart materials plays very important role in all aspects of life, like that. So this shape memory alloys also plays important role in all aspects, especially in automotive components, automotive thermostats, vibration dampers, where vibration means these shape memory alloys are high vibration resistant, and cold start vehicle actuators. As I said, because of the shape memory effect, okay, so under cold condition we can do anything whatever we want. For that purpose, cold start vehicle actuators, where this smart shape memory alloys are used. So in case of medical application, okay, for dental movements, filter clots, okay, heating process of broken and fractural bones, okay, so everywhere, especially in medical field, so this plays very important role. Okay, in the aircraft, so wherever vibration plays very important role, in such cases we are going for shape memory alloys. Okay, so we can use shape memory alloys in jet engines also. And other application includes, we can use as a actuators in robots, for human for smooth movement of the human muscles, solar actuators, electrical circuit breakers, fiber optic coupling. So these are all mobile phone antennas, satellite communication, satellite antenna deployment. Everywhere shape memory plays a very important role. Okay. Okay, uh, I'll stop the session. Okay, so any doubts in this one materials? Okay, in this class we discussed mainly about ceramic materials, then glass material, optical fiberglass, smart materials, their characteristics, piezoelectric materials, and shape memory alloys. So this is all about the engineering materials in module 4. Okay, any doubts, students? Okay, regarding this materials. Okay, any doubts? Okay, I hope you understood this session. Okay, I'll stop this session now. Okay, thanks for joining one and all. Okay, thank you.